Oh, it's another Monday, everyone. Isn't it great? Isn't it great to be back? It's Living Force Night. Once again, we're so happy to see you. We're excited for tonight's show. It's something new for us. We are going to be having your normal Living Force for the first half, but then tonight, we are going to be premiering our interview with two of our favorite lads from across the pond, and we are going to be right here in the comments with you, where you can ask us questions about anything we're doing, but basically, we just get to experience this all together. So excited. It's all new. We'll see if it works, and if it does, this will be our thing from now on. But I'm excited to be here with my friends, including Wes, who has everything set up to budget. Hello, everyone! Welcome to the Living Force, a Youtini Network podcast all about the books we love and the creators we love even more. I'm one of your hosts, Eric Eilerson, and joining me tonight to witness one of our favorite chats with two of our favorite guys are two of my other favorite guys. Starting off with the man, the myth, the legend, who is hiding his glorious Star Wars sign, Dr. Corey Helton. Look at that! Look at its glory!
It's glorious. It's glorious. Although I do have this giant gaming chair, and you don't get to see it really. You just get Rus.
Rus. I love Rus. It's my favorite franchise. Rus. Oh, I love the visual jokes for our audio listeners. It's great stuff. But what I love more than that is the man behind the buttons, the man who keeps us going, the man who triple checked the audio, Wes Jenkins.
Hello, everyone. When I was setting up my studio here, I noticed that I could put Doc into the shot a little bit. So
What's up, buddy?
His favorite chair over here I will be in the living room, and he comes all the way in here and sleeps in here because apparently I need to move this bed into the living room because he doesn't like the other one he has in there. So
yeah.
Oh man, I completely understand that. I now, because this is my office, everyone, that this living room / office / one bedroom Chicago apartment, all day when I'm working my regular person job, Morden will come in here and sleep on the couch, and he will put the pillows and blankets in such a ridiculous, towering cacophony that every time I have to do the show, I have to reset the room. But I love you, buddy, and I wish you were here instead of hiding from my voice. Well, while Morden isn't here, you all are. Hello to everyone watching us live and listening or watching us later. We love you. If you're watching, of course, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to us, make sure you subscribe to us on your podcast catcher and give us a review. 5 stars only would be lovely, and if it's not 5 stars, I don't know, forget that I said that. Just enjoy. We are happy to be here. Like we said, our main show tonight is going to be our conversation with two lovely men, Cavan Scott and George Mann. But before that, a little bit of news. First of all, I want to remind everyone that next week, a week from tomorrow, February 1st, that's right, we're already a month into 2022, it seems impossible, Midnight Horizon, this guy right here, comes out next Tuesday. Look at this thick boy, almost 500 pages of greatness from Daniel Jose Older. And if you're following our socials, you will know that our review is dropping day of, both our written and video review of Daniel Jose Older's Midnight Horizon. Spoiler-free, will be dropping next Tuesday, February 1st on release day. So we know you already got your pre-orders in at the Youtini.com release schedule because you know what's up. But if you want to check out our words and our thoughts as you get the book or before you jump in, next Tuesday, Midnight Horizon, absolutely cannot wait. And if you're on this YouTube channel, a reminder that last week we premiered our trailer for our upcoming documentary about our trip to Asheville that will be on Patreon. And that trailer is now clipped out and live on this channel. I believe it's 2 or 3 videos back. So if you have some time and you want to check that out, or you want to send it to a friend that you're like, hey, you should join this Patreon. Look at this fun these guys had. That is up on our YouTube channel, our Asheville trip trailer. We loved it so much. Corey, you absolutely just rocked it with that editing, and it made me
Thanks,
cry.
Man.
Maybe
Thanks,
cry.
man.
Does every day.
We uploaded all of our video footage to this platform. We're gonna play around with and see if it works. Nathan on our team has agreed, and maybe regretfully on his part at this point, to help us edit this thing. And I uploaded over 200 gigabytes of video footage. I mean, it's like 14 hours of video footage or something crazy like that. So I'm excited to see what it is. I mean, the interviews look really good, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun project.
It was like a 3D printer, but it was uploads. Like, people are like, oh, it's going to be 14 hours, see what comes out, and it's just video footage. So, very excited about that. And people that are helping us get to that goal, I want to shout out a few. Our new patrons this week that headed over to patreon.com/Youtini to join the family. We have James Weimer, who became a monthly patron, and Nico Caboras, who upgraded to the Inquisitorius level, and Ski, who became an annual patron. Thank you all so much. We hope you're enjoying the extra shows, the early shows from our bonus shows there, and of course, the extra commentaries and the upcoming extra documentary and all the other amazing content we have over there. But most of all, aside from all the extra content that's over there, we hope you're enjoying the feeling that you are keeping Youtini afloat. Everything that we're doing in 2022 is thanks to you. We've been having meetings today even talking about new programs we can use to make the site more efficient, to make all the resources better, and we wouldn't even be able to think about that without your support. So thank you so, so much. Now, it's been a while since we've had this last thing, but for the first time in many weeks, our lovely Patreon manager / documentary star, Timothy Guthrie, reached out, and we have a patron of the week. Wes, put him up on screen. Let's see who it is.
G'day, lads. My name is Matt Billington, and as you can probably tell, I'm from Australia. But I recently moved to the States and now reside in Connecticut with my soon-to-be wife. It's just a little bit colder here than I'm used to, but I'm getting over it. So my love of Star Wars began way back when I was 6, when I first watched The Empire Strikes Back. And ever since then, I've devoured the movies and TV shows at regular intervals. A super fun Star Wars fact of mine / humble brag is that because my cousin worked for Disney, I got to see The Force Awakens in an advanced screening days before the release. It was a great day. So I first attempted to get into the novels back in 2006 when I read Shadow of the Empire, but I found the EU timeline very confusing and couldn't find the resources I was looking for online on what to read next. So it wasn't until The Mandalorian aired that I decided to give the novels another go. But I was so bloody confused about what was canon and what was legends, so I went onto trusty old Google, and then bam, there was Youtini. And they had the simple answer that I was looking for, as well as the very powerful and almighty timeline and reading order. I'm also a big long distance runner, and I was looking for a Star Wars podcast to keep me company on those 2-hour long runs. But I needed a podcast that was going to be positive and where the hosts actually like Star Wars. And then bam, there was Living Force. So since then, I've read 25 Canon novels and over 200 Canon novels, with The Lost Stars being one of my personal favorites, closely followed by The Light of the Jedi. I'm loving the High Republic at the moment. Well, lads, that's enough out of me, but thank you so much for all your hard work, and I'll leave you with one final question. If you got to decide on the next Canon novel, which character, event, or time period would you want to explore next? Thanks, and may the Force be with you.
Oh, good stuff, Matt.
Very good, man. Thanks for the message. I really like hearing these patron of the weeks. I miss them. We haven't done one in a long time.
I know. Miss them. Oh, y'all gotta step up your accent game. I don't care if you're just a normal, boring American like us. Just like fake it. It's really fun. Yeah, going from Australia to Connecticut. Brave, man. I'm glad you and your soon-to-be wife are hanging out there. But oh my gosh, it snowed today in Chicago, and I gotta say, I thought about the Outback just a little bit.
Yeah, you didn't just go across the Earth; you went across like diagonally.
Yeah, it was like a really far line. But cheers, Matt. We love you. Thank you for the support. What a great journey. I can't believe you saw Force Awakens early. I'm only a little jealous. I can't imagine holding that in for a couple days and not being able to tell anyone.
That's insane. You know, we do, I don't know if we've ever mentioned this. We do have one other Australian on our team, right? Adam.
We do. Adam Dice.
His stuff. And he's across the pond as well.
Do you know each other?
I assume so, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's like I went to Michigan State. Oh, do you know blankety blank? It's like, yeah, there's 40,000 students, I'm sure. I just ran into him. But anyway, great stuff, Matt. Thank you. Great question to you guys. We answer this now and then, but we've had a lot of books come out since we have
Yeah.
last. If you could do the next canon novel, I am going to strike out High Republic as an option because that's always my go-to, and I use it as a crutch. And I'm not going to say the Bail Sabe book either because that's also my crutch.
That's always a crutch too. Yeah,
It's always a crutch.
so
You got to be creative. So
Okay, I guess I won't say
character-
my crutch either. We'll
gonna
I'll
say
say
it.
something new.
yeah, again, I like the idea too. He said character or event or time we'd want a next book from. That's pretty wide, which I like. Man,
I got one.
Go
off the
for
top
it.
of my head.
Go for it,
You guys
man.
I thought you were gonna
Yeah.
jump in there. But
I got rid of my two.
Yeah,
I have
my easy
have
ones.
two. I have two like very different ones that I would love to see.
Oh my gosh, go for
One
it.
is kind of in the room of all the things that I've said previously. I really want like some original Palpatine early life Plagueis-esque type of
Yeah.
evil villain stuff. I want some of
good.
that.
Mhm.
We don't have enough villain stuff in canon. Tarkin
Yeah.
is pretty close, but you know.
Yeah, but canonize some Plagueis, but also expand, make it more a Palpatine book.
Yeah, I'd be
Yeah.
all about that. And the other one that I have that I don't think I've ever said this one kind of just came to me. I really want to go forward in the timeline, really far. Like maybe Rey. The book opens with like Rey on her deathbed or something like that. Like we don't know.
How
what she
dare
did.
you?
I know,
How dare
right?
you?
We're gonna kill your favorite character, Wes. Sorry.
Well, we don't know what she like did in her life or anything, but like the story just picks up with her like she's telling somebody they're the last of the Jedi, and that's her only words, right? And then I don't know, something like that would be really fun.
That's a good.
Ooh,
idea,
all
yeah.
right, good ones.
Anyway, follow that.
And that
so-
just leaves it open for that fill-in story for
right.
whoever wants to
Yeah.
do it. You know. So
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? I will actually. You say that, and it makes me think now. Weirdly, we're 2 years out now from episode 9, right? Which is like the
Right.
magic sweet spot. It was 2 years between films, and I do think that I am ready, in a way, to get the next chapter of that. So not necessarily as far as you, maybe Corey, but like I want to see Finn and Rey Jedi's stuff because Finn was like, I'm force sensitive. Basically, what he's going to tell her at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I want to see. I want to see what's next in Finn's story because he was thrown around in so many different ways, and he kind of
Right.
got like a little bit of that before the Awakening book. But I'd like to see where he goes next. So Finn book, but also I will also do too. I also want to go back, I think, and do like more of the pre-episode 1 like Senate stuff. I loved like all the Shadow Queen's Hope books, like I've loved all the Padme books. I can't wait for Queen's Hope. Get that pre-order in for April. But I want to see more of that Senate time. Like, is there a young Bail Organa time? Doesn't have to star him, but like that section of kind of relative peace of is the Trade Federation young? Like what's kind of going on here? And see like is Valorum just getting elected? Like things like that. I think I would really like to visit that time period. I think would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm down for that for sure.
What do you got, Wes?
Well, I'm gonna say my easy one because this is I really want it, and I'll say it now. That way I don't ruin the second one. So first one is I want a Sifo Dyas story. I want Sifo Dyas in a movie.
Dang
I
it,
want.
you always go with that one.
Dang it, I always
information on
forget that
Sifo
too. It's
Dyas.
so good.
Right.
We have not enough. We have it from a little bit from the audiobook from Dooku Jedi Lost, right?
Yeah, there's so much in there with Sifo Dyas. Yeah, I would
Right.
love getting more of that.
So I'd love to, get the backstory on like his headaches and the way his premonitions were. That would have been will be so awesome. They're gonna do it. It's amazing. But my second one is, I want young Darth Vader, just like right after episode 3, kind of what is it? The Dark Lord. That version where we get to see him. We get to see him in like the Bacta sphere that he's in, of that like where it puts his armor on for him and everything. We got a glimpse of it, but that's probably all we're gonna get. I still would like to see.
Yeah. I like they hit that like in Charles Soule's comics a bit, but like letting that really expand out in a full novel of like what is he doing would be really, really sick.
I remember there was a good chapter in the Dark Lord that like specifically went into what he went through and what he goes through every day. It's treacherous. It's such a good read.
Yep. Yeah, and Stephanie in the chat, that's the one. Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith.
Yeah.
Legends novel. They call it the Dark Lord trilogy with Labyrinth of Evil, Revenge of the Sith, with which Wes hasn't read.
Oh, that one.
And Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith. Yeah. So,
right.
great.
It's very good.
Great stuff.
My favorite part of that book is how much Vader now, not Anakin, how much Vader thinks. He's in this weird transitionary period of Anakin and Vader, and he's always like, he talks a lot about what it feels like to be in the suit, how nothing feels normal. He's taller than he was before. His lightsaber grip feels different. Everything feels very different. It's really good in that book.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's in like constant pain all the time.
Always pain.
He says
it's pretty dark.
You know what's not always pain though is questions like that from Matt. Thanks again. And what's not always pain is our Patreon community, our patrons. We love you guys. If you want to join and maybe be a patron of the week yourself, go over to patreon.com/Youtini or youtini.com/Patreon and check out all we got going there. All right, we got a lot of news that came out this week. So Wes, hit him with that special drop for the weekly roundup.
It's the Star Wars Weekly Roundup.
All right, first on our docket this week, I literally have a piece of paper I'm looking at, is a review of a reference book. We haven't been able to do these in quite a while, but we did get a nice little reference book from our friends at Abrams. So I want to say thank you. This is a book that I know a lot of people in our community are looking forward to, and I am very excited to reveal a preview of The Art of Star Wars The Mandalorian Season 2. This is written by Phil Szostak, as all of these are, and it is coming out on February 15th. So you got a couple weeks here. If you liked the art of books, especially The Art of the Mandalorian Season 1, you're obviously going to love The Art of the Mandalorian Season 2. But just a couple things for those of you that may be a little more unfamiliar about these. This book, really cool, starts off with a description of how The Mandalorian Season 2 came to be. So if you like behind-the-scenes stuff and you're like, when did they decide to make a season 2? How did the episodic structure work in this way? This is absolutely the book you want. And then it breaks down, let me see here, episode by episode. All those pieces of concept art that we got at the end of the episodes is just the beginning. It is like, four pictures per episode or so. This has so many, including these gorgeous double-page spreads. Look at our boy Grogu there with his octopus monster, squid monster, or whatever it may be. And what I love about this one specifically is that it really ties in a lot of Filoni's commentary. Filoni, obviously, a huge part of The Mandalorian's success, a huge part of The Mandalorian's creation, but because he brought in characters like Bo-Katan, this glorious double-page spread of Bo-Katan is one of my absolute favorites, showing the different symbols and the different ways, obviously, they knew they were going to use Katie Sackhoff and things like that. But Filoni goes through and gives you a lot of cool tidbits about how he was able to incorporate his work on Clone Wars, his work on Rebels into The Mandalorian Season 2, including in the Jedi section, right? When he brought Ahsoka in, there was an awesome section that I read in this book that's all about her Montrails, her head Leku. Because when it came out, we talked on this show about, they're shorter than we thought. We've seen Shakti and things like that. And Filoni in this book goes through that decision-making process of we knew Shaktis were longer, but on film, they looked a little rubbery. They looked a little looser. And we want to make sure Ahsoka looked like she could be actionable. Like every move she was doing was Rosario Dawson. It was that character, and you weren't focused on the mask. It looked like an extension of her head and things. And this book is chock full of things like that. And it goes into those specifics. And of course, it's just absolutely gorgeous. And what I really dig as someone who's a fan of the movie art books, The Last Jedi, Force Awakens, Solo, all kinds of things like that, breaking it up episode by episode is especially cool because if you're watching The Jedi, if you're watching The Marshal, whatever episode you're watching, you could just flip and have open on your coffee table because, again, this is coffee table size book. You can just have this open right in front of you and you can kind of follow along with the designs, follow along with the commentary, and kind of figure out where your favorite parts of which episode came to life. You want to know what the Krayt Dragon used to look like all the time? It's in here. You want to see how they decided to work the budget out in that to make it look real, how they decided to use Mando's and Boba's jetpacks in certain ways. It's in here. And just honestly, if you've gotten these before, you love them. If you haven't gotten them before, you got to know what's going on here, especially all the commentary about the legend Doug Chang, who writes another forward. He always writes the forwards for these. Doug Chang is that dude. If you don't know Doug Chang, Google him. He is designed, if you thought about Star Wars, especially since Phantom Menace, Doug Chang designed that. He is the mastermind behind all of it, and he is so interesting in the way he talks about the TV shows. So February 15th, our friends at Abrams, this comes out. Pre-order it now. It did get delayed a bit, but obviously because Mando Season 2 has been out for a bit. But thanks to the supply chain, it is here. It is going to be out, and you're just going to be flipping this thing for hours and hours and hours. So can't recommend it enough. February 15th, it's on Youtini.com on the release schedule. Go pre-order it now. The Art of the Mandalorian Season 2. Next up, we got a little info about some of our favorite books that are coming out. One came out today. The news did, not the book, or else they'd be freaking out. Those of you that may have been around in the last couple weeks know that we are thinking a lot about the Padme books because we found our very own reveal quote on the back of Queen's Peril. However, there will be no quotes on the back of the next Padme novel, being Queen's Hope, but there will be another picture because today we got to see the back cover of Queen's Hope. Wes, throw that beautiful image up on the screen. Tara Phillips drew this. This is not a photo.
That's not a photo.
Oh my
That's
God.
insane.
That is
That's
insane.
yeah.
We're looking at a picture of Padme on her balcony in on Naboo for our audio
The lake
listeners.
dress. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the back of the new Padme book, right? Is that confirmed?
Yeah.
I mean, she
Yep.
kind of implied it, but I didn't know. if that
E.K.
was
Johnston
actually-
tweeted out today. She tweeted out first saying, can we appreciate the dress? And she tweeted out the front cover of Queen's Hope. We're like, yeah, great. And then she's like, but what about the back of the dress? And we're like, what? And then she tweeted this out and tagged the artist, Tara Phillips, who's done all the Padme covers. And Queen's Peril, the hardcover, the back of it was the paperback cover of Padme in the red kind of action outfit from episode 1. And this, I can only assume this may end up being the paperback. Yeah, you want to shout that comment out? That's hilarious.
Evan in the comments just said, "What a beautiful NFT! Get out! Get out!" Oh my God!
I hate them. But yeah, I want to shout this out because the artwork on these books has always been great. We have been I'm like, Evan, Naboo fungible token, A+. That's hilarious. Oh my God.
Get out.
But yeah, Tara Phillips absolutely crushed this. And if you wait for paperbacks, you might get this cover. But if you want the full artistic experience, make sure you have the hardcover pre-ordered, which is coming out now in April. It was going to come out literally last year, I believe, and got delayed. But it's coming out in April. So get that pre-order in, and you can look at that beautiful cover all day. Another book that's coming out soon, which we mentioned earlier in the show, Midnight Horizon, coming out next week. We got an exclusive excerpt, was released at CNET this past week. However, just because it was released at CNET doesn't mean there's nothing on Youtini, does there? Of course not, because our very own Meg Dowell wrote up a recap that you can find on Youtini.com, in which we find out that Master Yoda is dueling with his apprentice Cantum Sai in a flashback sequence. It's a very beautiful excerpt. As someone who has finished this book, and my review will be coming out next week, it's one of my favorite parts of the book. I think that the dynamic between Cantum and Yoda is incredible. If you don't know Master Cantum Sai, they are a Jedi from the High Republic Adventures comic that Daniel Jose Older got to bring into Midnight Horizon. So definitely head over to Youtini.com, check out Meg's work on that excerpt, including the link where you can go to CNET to read the whole thing. Fellas, remind me, have either one of you been following High Republic Adventures at all? Are you familiar with Cantum, or is this going to be your first experience of the character in Midnight Horizon?
This will be my first.
I read all the High Republic Adventures up until was there a pause in it for a little bit there?
I think like the first 6 episodes were episodes. The first 6 issues were one collection, and then I think they moved on to another volume.
Yeah, something like that. There was a pause there where there was like 2 or 3 weeks where I didn't get one, and I was like, okay, and I fell behind, unfortunately, when that happened. So
it's so easy to do.
Yeah, I know. The comics, it really is.
It is. But also, if you have read High Republic Adventures and you got some money to burn and you got a week, highly recommend at least diving in, getting some of those characters under your belt before Midnight Horizon. But if you're like Wes and it's gonna be your first time, that's also fine. But go read out that excerpt, kind of see the cadence of the story that Daniel Jose Older is writing. It's really, really beautiful stuff. But fellas, you know what else is beautiful? A promise.
Besides
a promise
Wes?
kept.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
After many delays, That promise is the promise that Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is getting released. It's finally coming. Guys, a gameplay trailer 6 minutes long revealed that this game is finally coming out April 5th of 2022. And what a trailer
real talk,
it was.
still have doubts.
Oh, sure. Sure. I mean, it's been years.
Listen, I am literally not going to believe that this game is coming out until I'm holding it in my hand or I'm actually logged into the menus. That's the only, not even the menus. Not even the menus.
You're going to have to beat the whole game so you know it's not a fever dream.
Yeah. When I finish it, then I'll know it's finally out. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. I can't wait for this. The trailer was great. I mean, the gameplay looks super fun. It's very different than any other Lego game before. If you haven't watched it, check it out on YouTube. It is a really sweet trailer, and most importantly for our show, they announced that there are going to be over 300 playable characters, including our Lord and Savior Bail Organa, who our very own Jacob found in a screenshot. Thank you. Can't wait. And in an interview, they announced that Mr. Bones is going to be playable from the freaking Aftermath books. Mr. Bones is going to be in a video game.
That's insane.
Like,
It's insane. I know. Mr. Bones.
Catch me up on the Skywalker Saga. Yeah, all of it, please. Details. Go ahead. No,
Yes.
but so you're gonna be able to play anything from episode 1 all the way up until episode 9.
That's correct. You can pick, you can go movie by movie if you want. There's going to be like all the planets from all of them, and you can go in whatever order you want, I believe.
How big is that game gonna be to download?
Oh my god. Huge. The most recent Lego games have been huge. I don't know if you guys played like the Lego Dimensions or anything, but those games are utterly enormous. And like this is entirely a new game too, just to be clear.
Yeah,
this is not like
not
the
a remaster.
old Lego games that have just been remastered or anything. This is like an entirely new game, which is really fun. Have you guys played these? I've played a couple of Lego Star Wars games.
I watched Heather play.
Yes.
Oh yeah, on game nights back in the day.
Way back when. I played it a little bit, but I know we have some people on our crew. Like Emma was talking the other day that she like grew up with Lego Star Wars. It was like her game as a kid.
Right.
And I was kind of in my in between Star Wars obsession when these first came out. Like I was more into sports and Marvel and things at the time, and I didn't quite come back to my obsession until later. So I don't have the nostalgia value, but just for pure gameplay, I mean, it looks like there's like Battlefront-esque starship sequences. It looks like there's over the shoulder, like it looks like Battlefront with Lego characters.
It really does look well made and everything. And like, I mean, yes, these games are. They're not like they when you're playing them as an adult, it feels a little like
they're silly.
Easy.
They're silly.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like Jedi Fallen Order, right? But there is like a weird nostalgia type of. It feels like an old game. All the old Legos games do. So I think they're fun.
Yeah.
I think they're fun. I played the last one I played was Force Awakens back in the day. About
I played the demo of that
5 years ago, maybe. It was a while.
Yeah.
While ago.
Yeah, I'm mostly just excited to play as a gonk droid. I mean, let's be clear. Youtini game might just gonk, 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 gonk. All right, there's your clip. Very excited. April 5th. Check it out. Although one other thing that came as a bit of a surprise this week that might be in April, March-ish. Someone got their issue of Star Wars Insider and immediately took a picture and posted to Twitter because in the side column of the coming soon on Star Wars Insider, Wes, throw this up. We saw that the Bad Batch Season 2 is coming in spring 2022. This is from Star Wars Insider, the magazine. There has been no commentary about this from the official Star Wars media channels, but this is like in print in their official magazine. So...
What? Like in
cool.
2 months?
We have a well-established history of stuff getting released accidentally.
Yes.
in print. All right. So I think it's real. I think it's real.
I think it's absolutely real. Yeah.
I've always thought that spring was going to be when we get it. Like just real talk.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I think Obi-Wan being more so in the summer kind of celebration window has always made sense. But I also love that in this image, it says starring D. Bradley Baker and Michelle Ang, because in the entire photo, if it's the entire Bad Batch and Omega, that is only 2 people.
Yeah, it's
like,
so weird.
It's just 2 voice actors.
And he only gets paid
6 characters.
for one guy. Man, unbelievable.
Got to get better agency.
Yeah, for real.
I hope they do stick to that. I hope that we get an announcement soon. I mean, it makes sense to wait till the end of Book of Boba Fett. I don't mind if we wait until after that. That's fine. But I do hope that we get that in spring. Because, one, I love doing Bounty Hunt every weekend. Check those out on Sundays at around noon Eastern when we're talking about the Book of Boba Fett. Hashtag plug. But also, I just love that Bad Batch show. If you listen to our Bounty Hunt episodes about it, you know how much we loved the end of it. We know those Camino episodes just wrenched our hearts in half. And I need those guys back.
Mm-hmm.
But what I need more back, and this is our last piece of news today, and my last segue I'm going to make, is a show starring one of my favorite characters, and that is Ahsoka, who we mentioned earlier. We are getting an Ahsoka TV show. We've been getting some casting rumors now and then, but we just got a pretty freaking large one, and that is star of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, star of 10 Cloverfield Lane, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, has been announced by The Hollywood Reporter to join Rosario Dawson in Ahsoka, which is pretty huge because I would say she's comparatively famous to where Pedro Pascal was when he got announced as Mandalorian. I know he did Narcos, did Game of Thrones, things like that, but was still not like A-list movie star. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, I think, has done a ton of work. She also has a child with Ewan McGregor, and I think they're dating as of right now. Bam! So that's fun. But first of all, a couple things. One, it's not going to be Sabine. Sabine's not a white character, so not a thing. But, guys, any ideas? Oh, and she's in Birds of Prey. Thank you, Evan. She played Huntress in Birds of Prey. This was really cool, and I guess, Corey, it reminded me of something you said about Lego, that I still don't believe the Ahsoka series is real until I see it. But this helps.
Yeah.
This helps.
Yeah. I don't have any idea what kind of character she's going to play.
Me neither.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I can't wait for the Ahsoka show when it happens, if it happens, all the above.
Aralani. She's playing Aralani.
Why
not? I would love to see, but she has to have Mark Thompson's German accent if she's going to be a TV character.
Yeah.
Has to is such a strong phrase. We love you, Mark. You do great work.
It is.
Yeah, I'm very excited for her, and it's cool to see, I love all the cameo characters that we get, but it's cool to see, I hate this word, but legitimate, established actors coming into the Star Wars canon. Like when Oscar Isaac was Moon Knight, it's oh, this is Marvel, but this is an Oscar caliber actor whose name is Oscar. But Mary Elizabeth Winstead has carried movies, has been in franchises. She does this thing, and now she's coming to the show, not just the movie. So very excited for that. Ahsoka, I would guess 2023, maybe. Definitely not this year. We got Bad Batch, Obi-Wan, and Andor, I think this year is what I'm guessing. But very exciting. Very exciting to keep these casts building up. And I just can't wait for more Star Wars TV shows, which I guess are just going to be a thing until I die. And I'm so happy about it.
As long as the Brinks truck keeps backing up into Disney, then
streaming, everybody. Click those buttons. But if you want more buttons to click, of course, go over to the Youtini.com release schedule and get your pre-orders in for Midnight Horizon. That's coming next Tuesday. And High Republic Tempest Runner, the audiobook script book. The script book. That's confusing. The High Republic Tempest Runner script book, there you go, coming out on March 1st, in addition to Mission to Disaster. So a lot of books you can pre-order, and of course, The Art of the Mandalorian coming out next month. If you want some reference books, head over. It's all on our release schedule. And while you're there, head over to the timeline. Get some old books from your to-be-read pile. Fill that out a little bit. You got some time. But thank you to Frank and Trevor and everyone for keeping those up to date, and we hope you get those pre-orders soon. All right, on that, we're going to take a very quick break, and when we come back, we are going to try an experiment, something we've never done before, and I'm very excited. See you in a minute. It's what Jimmy McGinty says Shane Falco needs.
Is absolutely
Charles is calling! Put him on! Put him on! Wait, is this the first time caller?
Hello, you are live on The Living Force.
Long-time listener, caller.
Yes, what's your question?
My question is for Wes. Why does he think that he can do my job?
Corey put me up to it.
Oh my God!
Corey made you do it? That's your answer?
Oh, man,
I'm enjoying the show. I won't interrupt anymore. Have fun.
Bye, bye.
canon is Darth Bane. Obviously, he is samurai body voiced by Mark Hamill. It's in season 6 of the Clone Wars, and they reference Bane's order and all that. You created the ruler too, but he was the worst Yoda I've ever done. I'm getting tired. It's been a long week.
Is that what that was?
I
thought you were having a voice moment.
Yeah.
I didn't
The
even get the word
coughing fit.
structure right.
Oh man.
Edit that in post, Rick. How can
You put this image of in my head of Piet just whipping out an Uno reverse card and slapping it down.
Bam!
Take that.
Yeah, Vader does not play Uno though, so I don't think that would be a wise long-term discussion.
He doesn't have the patience for it. He just force chokes everybody.
Exactly.
All right, welcome back, and welcome Dr. Charles Hankel to the chat. To everyone on audio, sorry, Charles didn't just arrive, but he is in the chat. And you're just in time, Charles, because everyone, it is a night for experiments. And Corey, I want you to intro this one, because this is something I have been hesitant to, and I will own that for quite a while. But we were talking last week, and Corey finally twisted my arm enough to do this. So, Corey, what are we going to do here, and why are we doing it?
So we are going to experiment here, and we recorded our video interview with Cavan and George, Cavan Scott and George Mann, while we were in Asheville a couple weeks ago, and we fixed it so we built the stream while we were before we were going to interview them, right? So essentially, we interviewed him, and it looks like it's live. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool little thing we did, and we've kind of been against doing this in the past, just because authors are, they're thinkers, right? They're writers, right? They're kind of quiet folks, and in the past, they've been a little hesitant to agree to video calls, right? And if they want to do video calls, they're like, well, don't use the recording for anything, right? That's come up several times with when we're planning interviews and stuff like that. But the pandemic has changed people, and now they're cool with interviews and stuff.
We all got webcams.
I know we all have webcams now, and Scott and Mann have always kind of been pretty cool about that sort of thing too. So I'm excited to try this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll the interview from when we did it live, and we're still gonna be present in the comments and stuff. And I hope you guys enjoy.
Yeah. So, as a reminder, you can chat along. We are seeing your comments as you kite them. We will try to be active. You can ask us questions as it's going about what we were thinking, or if that was a good question, or why in the world are you doing this? And let us know afterwards, if you're watching this later, did you like this? Do you want us to go back to just releasing these separately? Do you want us to keep doing these live reactions? Because we love it, honestly. I'm already very excited. We want your feedback. We've talked enough. I already stepped on Corey's really great teeing it up. Wes, bring it up. Mute our mics, and let's jump into the comments to watch our exclusive interview with Cavan Scott and George Mann.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a marvelously special edition of The Living Force. I am one of your hosts, Eric Eilerson, joined way too closely by Dr. Corey Helton, Dr. Charles Hankel, and Wes Jenkins. Right. But more importantly than these losers, I am joined by two of the most wonderful writers and, frankly, people that we have in our Star Wars space. We have, first off, the newly revealed High Republic author, George Mann. George, how you doing? Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Oh my God, so excited to have you. And of course, our known High Republic author and also Youtini's 2021 Author of the Year, Cavan Scott. Welcome back.
Hang on, let me get my trophy. You can CGI it. Can you CGI it later?
We tried it, I wish. Yeah, we tried so hard. I have to say, we tried so hard.
It's somewhere out there, and the thing is, I know it's coming. So it's like a little extra Christmas present. I won't know when Christmas is going to appear. So
brilliant. Yeah, I always had the utmost respect for the Royal Mail until now, and now it's gone. It's gone.
That's because you don't live in the UK.
Oh,
we have no respect.
I have to say that as well.
It's called royal, right? It has to be good. It can't ever be subpar. well, guys. So we are here today, obviously, to celebrate not only your work but also your friendship, real or not. The two of you have been writing together a lot this past year, and we would love to start today to talk a little bit about that. So I guess I just want to ask both of you, when did you guys first consider a true writing partnership, not only a friendship, but when did you decide, hey, we should actually write together?
I don't know this man. I don't know why I'm here.
Who are you? I'm trying to think back because I mean, so we've known each other since 2010, haven't we? I think is when we actually met around that time, and ever since early doors, we talked about the idea of doing projects together, didn't we?
So I just want to explain how we met. We met online. We met on a Doctor Who forum, and
amazing.
So then we had basically a date. We went and met up in London at the British Museum. It was like, you know, so we'd only sort of seen each other by the avatars on the forum. And so, you know, I was standing there and I had a red carnation on and I had a newspaper under my arm so he would know who I was.
Oh my God.
And yeah, we met at the British Museum. It's the most bizarre thing in the world. But even by then, I think we'd already started talking about story because it's what we do, and
emailing back and forth,
about what we were working on at the time. So it's weird, and I think that probably that first meeting when we were looking at all the stuff in the museum, we were probably we were talking about what we were working on at the time. And what happened quite earlier on was that we started to help each other with each other's work, and so if we were working on whatever it was and one of us was stuck, we'd sort of ping each other and say, what do you think about this? And I think I remember on that day, so it was a visit to the British Museum and then visit to an occult bookshop, which is around the corner. And because obviously I was involved and George is the same. And I think already then we were like, you know, I think we'd been there an hour before we started pulling each other's stories apart in a good way. And so, yeah, I think it became a natural thing beyond that we thought that we help each other so much and we think along the same lines while also having different areas where we poke each other at different points of the story because our brains work different ways, that we should use this for something together as well as just our own work.
Yeah, and actually that day out set a kind of template, didn't it? Because ever since we go out together quite often when we can, and we'll meet up somewhere, and we'll often go around a museum or a gallery or something, and hang out in their coffee shop, but also look at the exhibits, and that usually sparks some ideas for stories. So we kind of, and then we'll be talking about creating stories as we're walking around exhibits. We've done it in London, you know. It's just a part of the process for us now.
I love that. I love that there's so many locales that you guys can discover stories together. And here, Corey, our next question actually is about that.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, I mean, you guys have talked about, and other High Republic folks have talked about in the past, like you guys have gotten together for these sort of retreats. You know, I guess that hasn't really happened probably much during the COVID times, I would imagine, but like kind of prior to all this High Republic thing kicking off, you know, I know you guys got together and did some storyboarding and that sort of thing. Could you walk us through a little bit what that process was like? I mean, how did you get the call that this was going to happen? How did you end up? Where did you end up? That sort of thing.
So, well, I mean, on the retreats thing first, I mean, we actually have met up quite for retreats a couple of times during COVID. Like you guys, you know, we make sure we test with we're all vaccinated. So we were kind of like, we'd rent a place for a week and basically leave our wives and children to fend for themselves and go.
People, they're fine. They're strong. Yeah.
That makes it sound like fend for themselves against the wolves where we usually live.
I mean, hey, the UK seems like a little scary place sometimes. We don't know. You know.
But yes, so a couple of times last year we managed to do that for a week at a time and you know, work on non-Star Wars related stuff because you know, while we've obviously we and have been doing Star Wars projects together, we're also writing other things of our own. So we tend to use that time for that.
Beautiful. And how do you go around finding a place for like this is our retreat spot? Is there like Airbnbs? Is it like other writers like kind of give you clues? Like what's the place that you're like, this is our Zen place. We can hang, we can have tea, we can actually write.
I think we try and find somewhere far enough away from anywhere else that we can't be too distracted. And we both love the countryside. We both love folklore and sort of history. So yeah, it was literally trawling through Airbnb to find somewhere that was sort of a bit rustic, a bit rural sometimes, places that we can then go and walk around there. Anywhere that's has got a slightly sort of like, so one of our favorite places to go is very near some old Neolithic standing stones that we love to go back to. And so the kind of things that inform our stories and inform the stories we also enjoy. So yeah, and now we have found a couple of places that we go back to, and actually we try and make sure there's a monthly sort of day retreat as well, because we live about 3.5 hours away from each other. So we found a place that's sort of equidistant in the middle. And so once a month we go there, and they now know us, and we have a little room that we hide away into, and we walk in and they go, "Oh, it's the screenwriters," and we go, "Yes, that's us."
Oh my gosh.
And then we have to hide the fact we're watching movies.
So it's work. So what you're saying is what we're doing right now is what y'all usually do. So if what y'all have created came out of those trips, then I'm excited to see what might come out of ours. If it's the 10th of what y'all have.
Nonsense.
It's not going to be good. I can probably tell you.
So, Cavan, I like the way how you told us when you first met that y'all you looked at each other's writing, you kind of gave good critiques on certain aspects of your work. What is your favorite thing about George's writing?
My favorite thing about George is how much he likes me, and
A+ friendship right there.
Well, I mean, I think my favorite thing that George has done of his own is the Witchwood books, because again, if you haven't read them, these are a sort of a mystery series with supernatural and folklore, and actually it was Witchwood that sort of led to him working on Star Wars as well, because Mike Seglain had read those books, and I think Mike had met George beforehand and at San Diego, and then he'd read those books. But for me, again, we quite often say that we come up with very similar ideas for our own stuff quite often, and we have to say, we say to George, I go, "Hey George, I'm working on a green man who's a bit of English folklore story. Went, guess what I'm doing at the minute?" And we're like, "Oh no."
Do you have a date on that work? Can I see what you wrote down?
Yeah.
It's happened loads. We're always,
but we always kind of graciously go, "Oh, okay, this one is more your baby, isn't it? You go and run with that." Or sometimes, is that something we should be working on together?
Yeah, exactly.
So we kind of neither of us get grumpy with each other about it, do we? It's just
no, it's just part of the process. And so so for Witchwood, for me, is the thing that of George's own creations. I think it's the one that it reminds me more of our friendship and our relationship and what we do together, because obviously we solve occult-based crime all the time.
You also write about it, right? So
yes, exactly.
Perfect. And so, George, I've got a big curveball for you. You probably didn't see this one coming. What is your favorite thing about Cavan's writing?
Yeah, I think actually it's going to be Shadow Service. Is outside of his Star Wars stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
And it's actually for very similar reasons. It's because it's a very different take on similar themes. That idea of like the hidden occult world out there, spies and detective stories and mysteries. And, one of the things we love doing is watching movies together, like Mission Impossible and, action adventure movies and stuff, which is just kind of stuff to relax to. And what Shadow Service is bring that kind of spy film. We both love James Bond movies as well, don't we? With the books.
We have to. We're British. It's
James Bond. But yeah, so we so I think Kaz brought that to that same sort of kind of material that I was writing about in Witchwood. And it's because I've known Cav for a long time, I know the origin of that world that he created. And it's back a long time. We've been talking about MI666 for years and years, and Cav's been bouncing that idea around for a long time. And then when the comic came about, it was kind of like it it was just the perfect opportunity. The conjunction of things is opportunity for you to bring that to the fore, wasn't it? And yeah, so I think that's probably my favorite piece of Cav's work outside of Doctor Who.
It's yeah, both of them. It's so interesting because, like, you know, you hear about friends that watch each other's kids grow up and things like that, and it does sound like, in a way, these stories, you guys watch each other's kids grow. Like, you knew MI666 as a baby, and now you've watched it grow as Cavan's. Like, that's just a fun, really unique thing that I don't think a lot of writers get to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's the same with Witchwood, isn't it, Cav? It's like, you know, I remember sitting down with Cav and going, I've got to brainstorm this story out. And, you know, and Cav going, well, have you thought about approaching it in this angle or that angle? You know, so and
actually goes beyond that, because I produced an audio series that I got George to write for, and there was like a prototype of one of the characters because you were just thinking about it back then, and so you tried it out on that audio to sort of see if it would work.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah. So, and that's like, you know, 8-9 years before the book was written. So again, have produced and helped shape that audio, which then helped, you know, had a knock-on effect in how I then approached the book. So yeah. So our you know, while we don't unduly influence each other's work, we are there for each other, and we have seen each other's work flourish over the years and develop.
Wow. I love that. And of course, speaking of your more recent work, we're about to jump into the Star Wars stuff. But before we do, you did have a recent project. You both just put out a Sherlock Holmes adventure. Speaking of things that I guess are just quintessentially British at this point. But so tell us, this particular project, how did this one come together? Was it similar to, like, one of you started it, another cracked it, or did you both be like, Holmes has been around, you both like mysteries, we got to do a Holmes story?
Well, again, I think we've both written Holmes independently. And I can't remember which way it was around, but one of us had a meeting with Audible, and Holmes came up. So this is we've had 2 Audible originals with Sherlock Holmes, and the most recent one has been a adaptation of Hand of the Baskervilles, with Colin Salmon as Holmes and the incredible Stephen Fry as John Watson. And so I think whoever was in that meeting, as soon as Holmes was mentioned, said, well, you know, if I'm going to do this, we need to bring in my mate, because together, you know, we could probably tell a better story than independently. And we worked on that first one, which is called Voice of Treason, which was an original story that we created ourselves. And through that, they came to us and said, would you consider adapting a classic Canon story, Hand of the Baskervilles? And by the way, Stephen Fry is going to be starring in it. And
by
so
the way, heads up.
Yeah, we'll do it. No worries. And I mean, it's interesting because I don't think either of us had ever considered adapting at that point. You know, we were quite keen on continuing to all the original things. But again, we then plugged into what we like about what horror story, folk horror, and the history, and we planned the sort of our folk horror version of Hand of the Baskervilles on one of these retreats where we were down from a wood that we walked through every morning when we were talking about it and things like that. And in the evenings we would watch films. And that's another big part of our retreats, is that we work really hard in the day. And then in the evening, up goes the projector screen and we blitz through 2 movies, a really old bit of obscure British television, and we try and theme it around whatever we're working on. So it's, you know, it's a proper, it's a boot camp when you're sort of immersing yourself. And I try and get George to watch as many gory things as I can, because he's not so much into the gore as I am.
I like the tension end of the horror thing, and Cav's kind of a bit less squeamish than me. But yeah, we tend to kind of we'll watch stuff for the tone of it, won't we, as well? So it's like other things in the same sphere, but also things like we'll watch documentaries as well and things as well that have a bearing on the type of thing we're writing or developing.
It's funny. I'm like getting lost in this idea of like, God, that just sounds great. Like, it's cool that, you know, the most creative things can be also the most like social and I guess, fulfilling, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we're very keen to point out to our respective wives, this is not a holiday.
Right,
but at the same point, it's a bit of a creative holiday. And Claire, my wife, is always saying, she gets it, that it's a chance, because we always try and make sure that these weeks, we call them horror camp. They don't usually tie into something we're doing for Star Wars or whatever. It's usually something original or something we're doing for ourselves. And we've got a production company together, so we are developing things for that as well. But yeah, it does give you a break from all the, it gives us a break from Star Wars and the hoopla that goes around Star Wars. We end up talking about Star Wars naturally, and but we're not working on it then. So it's that chance to breathe.
Yeah, we tell everyone basically that we work with usually that we're away for the week. We put our out of office on and we go, and we don't actively kind of seek to do emails or social media or anything. To focus on the work that we want to do, and yeah, it's like it recharges us, doesn't it? I think we always come from those weeks feeling really upbeat, ready to take on the world, I think.
Yeah, and it's more than just writing. We always try and make sure there's half a day in one of these weeks when we sit down and go, right, what are you working on this year? What am I working on this year? What should I? And it's a chance to come up with goals and reestablish, rearrange our priorities, and really think about strategize, I suppose, and I say we have a company as well, so there is a part of that as well, that we're working out what we're doing together. And so they're vitally important, they're fun, and we always come away with an idea that we didn't know we were going to go in with as well. That's the best thing. I mean, so the last one we did was just before Christmas, and we came out of it with an idea that we never would have. I don't think if we'd sat down and said we are going to work up something in that area, we would never have done it. It just came out of all the conversations we're having all week, and things start to, a rolling stone gathers moss. Things started to build, and then we realized, well, hang on, we've got something there. And you can be guaranteed that every time we meet up, that happens in some way, depending how well formed you want it to be. Well, that could be, sometimes it comes and it's like that. Sometimes it's an idea that we'll return to, but it always happens.
That's really great. You have somebody that you can trust and a friend that help you give that extra point of view that you wouldn't normally see when you're just working in a vacuum by yourself. So that's amazing to have.
The trust thing is really important, actually, because it comes to actually co-writing. When we're working on manuscripts together, we need to be able to trust each other that the other person hasn't got an agenda to overwrite you or make the story feel like their story or force through their vision for it, that you're actually working together and it's a shared vision, and that your best interests, the reason that you're doing the work you're doing is to make the story as good as it could possibly be and as close to the share.
Yeah.
So that trust is really important, and what we often find, and I think this is true, something like Life Day Treasury, we can't remember who wrote what words. There's like, look back at that book now, and it absolutely belongs to both of us in every respect.
Wow.
And it wasn't commissioned like that as well. They commissioned it thinking it would be George writes that one, Cav writes that one, and then we said no, we're writing all of them, and they were like, you are. But that's the way we work. One of us will do a first draft, and the other one then pick it up, and we have an understanding, an agreement that the other person can change anything they want in the next draft. Doesn't mean you're not going to try and turn it back afterwards, but you have to have a damn good reason why you're going to turn it back.
Sure.
So and largely the turning back never happens because again, someone else is seeing something you didn't see or you couldn't see. And again, that's trust, and it's checking your ego in at the door and saying, okay, this isn't just me now. This is someone else, and I've got to listen to what they're saying.
Fantastic. Absolutely. Well, going from checking an ego to absolutely fanning one for a second, officially now, let's celebrate. George, welcome to the High Republic. Big time, man. This is incredible.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Exciting times, guys.
Yeah. It's funny when a little behind the scenes for our viewers and listeners, we started to put this interview together before the holiday a bit. And then, the holidays happened, and oh my goodness, am I so happy that we had a delay, because you were officially announced, was it last week now?
Yes.
I believe on the Star Wars show. On the 4th for the anniversary. So Corey, here, tell us, as George our lovely first official Youtini High Republic question for George Mann.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you've done a lot of cool projects in the past, but obviously this High Republic stuff is new, and you also have a lot of experience with the younger readers books as well.
Sticker books, A+.
That's right. That's a little different. So can you maybe walk us through what that first touch point looked like when you got the phone call? I mean, did Cavan hey, they're going to ask you, how did that happen exactly?
Say nothing, George. Say nothing.
There's been lots of conversations going on for a while. Is what I'll say.
Sure.
I obviously we announced on the 4th that I'm joining the High Republic team, and in a bigger capacity.
Yeah.
Sure.
But obviously I've been working behind the scenes on some stuff anyway. You mentioned the picture books. There's the Stellan story in Life Day Treasury. There's the Drengir story in the Target Special Edition of Darth. So for a while I've been having some conversations about supporting, where appropriate, or if I'm doing a Star Wars project, is there a little bit of crossover where it's appropriate to mention the High Republic and stuff. So in that capacity, I've been having conversations.
Sure.
And Mike obviously liked the stuff. Mike Siglain obviously liked the stuff that I've been doing. And they wanted to expand the team. It seemed, thankfully, I'm grateful, but to them it seemed like a natural fit for me to go forward. And they know that I work well with Cav, obviously, as well. So that's an added plus. So that there are opportunities for us to coordinate what we're doing.
So Cavan didn't just add you to the Slack team and then delete the message that says somebody new has been added to the Slack team.
You just creeping in, oh, George has been here.
Oh yeah,
what do you mean?
Well, it's funny because George was the first person, I think, in the world, and again, I apologize to my wife, who knew I'd been asked to do this in the first place, because it happened at San Diego, where we were sharing a room for San Diego, and I had breakfast with Mike, went down to have breakfast with Mike, came up looking a bit sort of shell-shocked, and George was like, what's just happened? And I went, you can't say anything, which is the beginning of all our conversation. And basically, George and me we're NDA'd with each other. We have an agreement.
That's great.
We can share stuff and know that, he knows I will kill him.
You're going to destroy each other. Absolutely. Yeah.
And so I said, I've just been asked to do this thing, and I probably should phone Claire. And so Mike told me, and I told George. So George was right, has been there through my High Republic, and so I'd been texting him and FaceTiming him from some Skywalker Ranch going,
as a Star Wars fan and as Cav's mate, there's no jealousy or envy there. It's just, I was just happy for my friends to be
for sure.
Yeah, it's getting to do this, to tell these amazing stories, and also to have a bit, to have that little bit of an inside track and go, not know necessarily all the details of what Cav's working on, but to hear bits and bobs and, to help out with story where it's appropriate. I mean, there are occasions where Cav's been working on stories and it's like, I can't tell you all the details of this, and this element of it, but I've got the character A and character B, and I need to talk through how this plays out. We'd just do what we usually do, and then it would, obviously, that would be part of his Star Wars thing.
Yeah. The great thing is, actually, we as I joked, we NDA each other, but George was literally NDA'd when he did the Drengir story. Wow. So suddenly, I could talk to her, and because Mike had sent stuff through to George for reference points for the Drengir story in Dark Legends. Suddenly, I could talk to George, knowing that it was safe to, and so it was great because, again, it was someone who was also on my own time zone who I could say, I'm working on this. I need someone to talk to quick. Yeah. And so George, for me, it feels like George has been there from the beginning, which is wow. And I think it was inevitable in a way, because we'd meet up, me, Mike and George at San Diego and New York and things. And it would be, I think it was always a general understanding that whenever there was an opportunity, George would be brought in. And it's not nepotism, and it's not anything like that. It's because he's such a good writer, and he knows, and he's going to play a role in the High Republic that we needed someone who writes like George. And that's why he's there.
I would imagine too that at this point the partnership you have is almost kind of marketable in a way too. Like, I mean, I would say it probably is good for creators to have folks that they can work together, and people know that they kind of come as a pair, that's like a level of quality of sort of that peer ownership that I don't think a lot of people have that. So it's very unique.
Yeah. And I think we support each other, we promote each other, and I think it's, and obviously we have a business together. At the same time, we're, like when Cav got the gig, and and I was off doing other things, we're still carving our own paths as well, and so we're also like we try and get strike a good balance. It's like we don't want people to always think that we're only a team, and that we only work together as a team, because we can Cav does projects, I do projects, and sometimes we come together to do projects as well. You're absolutely right. There is also that element of like, it's fun for us, for example, to go and do signings at conventions together, because we get to hang out as mates and then share an experience with fans and people at a convention. So I think there'll be opportunity, and just like this, to be able to talk together and it's good fun.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I like the Beatles, but I also like Imagine. I mean, there's you can have both careers, and I guess now that knowing George you've been around for a bit of it. We're a wave out, so I feel like I can say this pretty well. George, did you kill Load and Greatstorm? Is that you can tell me. No, everyone will be cool.
That was something George didn't know.
Oh, okay.
Oh man. Yeah.
Then we're cool. Cavan, you and I are still on the rock, but George, we're cool. I'm glad to say that's good.
So, Cavan, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but I'm curious to hear a little bit more about what it was really like to welcome George into the team, because obviously you two have this beautiful partnership. And then, Cavan, you've been, somewhat separately part of this massive High Republic team. So what is it like to see those two parts of your life kind of converge?
Like the real official, like, boom, this is now a thing.
I can't get rid of him. He's just there.
You tried.
Listen, heck. No, it's great, and it's, but I think it goes beyond just me and George with the, all due respect to George and our friendship. The Star Wars writers family is so strong now that it's not just George joining the group, it's everyone who's joining the group. We all know each other through working on things like from a certain point of view and from going to cons, and we haven't had that for so long now, it seems. And so it's not like you're coming to any of these new people coming in and going, well, who's that? It's the relationship's already there. And the trust thing's already there, and I think that's it would be far scarier if it was someone new coming in that we had no idea about what they were going to be like. So I think as a whole, as someone who's sort of been one of the architects of the range and everything and the story, it is a real relief. Just as I felt the relief when I found out who the other four people were who I'm going to be sharing this job with right at the beginning. That these people can tell great stories. They're decent people. You're going to be able to work with them. And so for everyone who's part of the group, I think that's the most important thing. And it is to do with that family of Star Wars writers and that shared love of Star Wars, which we've all got. And it's the one thing that binds us all together.
Yeah, it was so fun seeing that announcement. We talked about this on our show this past week. Someone asked us, have these people written before? And we're like, oh yeah, like these are like, I know them, like and Zoraida and stuff, like, oh yeah, I remember Crash and Fate, and like it's all these stories that we've read before, and I guess I never thought about that like pipeline existing, I guess, of like, because of course obviously the two of you working so closely, you're going to read each other's stuff and work on stuff, but I never thought about that applying to the Star Wars family of writers, of like, there is really this bullpen of at least 80 writers for like these from a certain point of view books. Like you have this such a massive sampling, and it just made sense to welcome those in. So it's really cool to see.
So yeah, sorry.
No.
I was going to say, I think it's nicer from my point of view, the opposite to Cav. It's nicer to be part of a group of people who are being welcomed in rather than just one person joining. It's like,
oh sure,
like the gang's getting bigger, and I've been invited to the party. That's what it feels like, as opposed to, I've written these books and I've been hired to join an existing team, which, you guys must, it's analogous with kind of other things where you're either the new person or, or the outsider who's come in and people are like, oh, who's this new person who's been hired? Whereas when you're part of a family that's been hired like that, and like I said, who all know each other already, it's just more welcoming overall, I think.
Yeah, it's like the X-Men.
And it makes everything more. Oh, sorry. It just makes everything more awesome. I mean, let's face it. There's been analogies to the Avengers before, and if the original Luminous with the 5, with the original Avengers, we now get the cool ones. We get Vision, we get Ant-Man, we get Wanda. So, and it makes us all look better. Actually, I was just thinking about that announcement. It's funny because I tweeted, I took that picture of George, and I'm just thinking about our conversation. That was our last retreat, wasn't it? I took the picture of you that was used, leaning against one of the Neolithic stones.
Oh my gosh!
You mentioned. Yeah.
Wow, that's brilliant. I'm going to think about that now. There are going to be like the Luminous main Avengers, and then the Disney Plus Luminous authors are now all the series. That's all you guys in this next way. Oh, brilliant! I love it so much.
So on the Living Force, I am notorious for spoiling books that were not
just leave it there. I'm notorious.
So George, what is it like working with this insane level of secrecy behind the High Republic, where you can't
say nothing, George? Say nothing, George. Say nothing, George.
To be honest, there's two answers to that question. One is I'm kind of used to it because I've worked with other franchises before where they're just as strict on, like, I think it was just yesterday I posted that I've written a Carnival Row graphic novel.
Yeah.
With those guys, it was the same. They're sending you scripts. They've got your names through them. You can only read them online for between the hours of 12 and 1 in the morning. It's like,
jeez.
Not literally, but I mean, it's like that kind of specific rules and specific windows to do things, and you can't speak about it even to your family. It's like, so nothing new on that respect. The difference actually is what Cav was saying earlier, is that there is this little family of people I can talk to about it, who is the rest of the High Republic team.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
Okay.
On Carnival Row, it was just me, just working with the team Legendary, which is a great experience, but you can't share it.
Right.
Whereas High Republic, you're part of a team, so there are people to talk to. So even just today, I was talking to Cav about this thing, blah blah, and he's like, yeah, experience has shown this is the way to tackle that. And you go, oh, great, thanks. There's someone who's been there, done it already.
Yeah, wow.
Same with the rest of the team as well. So yeah, I think that's the answer to it. It's like it's nicer in some ways. Like, you have to be secret, but not to the people who are already working on it. So you've got a bit of an outlet.
Yeah. So Wes, just talk to us about this stuff. Yeah. All right. You don't have to say it on the show. There you go. Learn something.
that I'm working on.
Excellent.
So can I just say, y'all have used the word family like a few times, and that really, it strikes me, and not to project too much of like what this trip and meeting each other for the first time has meant, but like the idea of things in Star Wars, major ideas in Star Wars that find their way into your personal life is really interesting to me. And found family, right, is a huge through line for Star Wars. I mean, like the crew of the Falcon, they had no business meeting each other and creating this unit that they had. So it's really lovely to see those ideas not finding their ways just into our lives as fans, but also so integrated into the team that is creating new Star Wars.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think I might have even talked about this before when I came on your show. But for me, with the message of Star Wars is that things work when you do it together, and when you don't, it falls apart. And if only Anakin had learned that, it would have been a much shorter series. Yeah. But I think that's true in anything, and that's what we found throughout the High Republic and through Star Wars publishing in general, and actually through writing. Writing is always said to be a solitary task, and it is when you actually get down to shoving the words onto the page, however you do that. But the community is huge, and I think the people who get the most out of writing are part of that wider community, and it's a supportive community. There are egos, like there's always egos everywhere you go. George lives with me for a week and he knows that. But the egos are usually tempered by the fact that we all know what it's like to be a writer, and we all go through the same things. And you do share with other people and you give advice. And I think it's what I love about the creative community, that it is a community, it is a family.
Yeah, and that's true within Star Wars and specifically on this project, but it's true in a wider sense amongst other writers, isn't it? It's like, like the fact that we met the way we did and have shared our, this career. We have other friends who are writers as well, and we all talk to.
What? Whoa! You have what?
Exclusive clip right here. It is. Revealed. Oh,
I'm sorry, Cav, I have been cheating on you.
Oh my gosh. The truth comes out.
Just talk to my lawyer. You'll be hearing in the morning.
Have my people contact your people.
That's it.
But yeah.
Sorry, what was the question?
Like it was about the disintegration of found family based on betrayal and lack of trust. I think that's what it was. Oh, but I guess as we kind of think about obviously what's coming forward for the both of you, you both have so many great projects that are upcoming that, of course, we're not pressing you about. We're excited to read them. But I want to look back for a second at just the past year. Obviously, 2022, it's a lot of new stuff, but it's also in some hard ways a lot of the same that we hit in 2021, had a lot of hardships, just as 2020 did. But with 2021, I wanted to ask the two of you, being such close friends, being such close business partners, how did your professional and personal relationship change in 2021 after the world was still kind of on lockdown? How were the little bits of relief that you got to experience with each other? How did that change you as people?
Wow. We probably text each other more, which our wives would say is impossible. I mean, that's the weird thing because we live apart. I know people like to think that we're like Laurel and Hardy and we share a bed every night, but we do live apart and we do work, in different areas as well. So we're used to having a long distance friendship, and so when we get together, it's brilliant. But that's not the norm. And I think from my point of view, I think it was the difficulty of not being able to see each other, and break it up. But actually, we knew we had each other anyway, and so that sounds soppy, doesn't it? That sounds ridiculous.
It's lovely.
I'm a Brit. I should be more. But
this is very dangerous to showing actual emotion, Cav. I mean, just says a heads up.
Hang on, I'll just do this again.
All right, great. Reset.
Very good.
I think we missed we had our regular, we've been going to San Diego together, for example, for 5 years, and then suddenly we could, and that for us was always a highlight of the calendar where we did have a chance to get together and hang out for a while.
Yeah.
But that's where these retreats came in. So we kind of compensated for that by going, well, if we can't have San Diego, we can have our own mini convention and we can go and have the pop culture we want in the form of curating our own movies and TV schedule, and we can do some work together, and just spend time together as mates. And I think the other thing is because we got this strong friendship that we helped each other get through the hard times of 2020 and 2021, where it's been hard. We all know it's been hard. There's been and we've all had our own complications within that, different family members who have different reactions to the situation, or risk, because of existing conditions and things. And that puts a lot of pressure on you and on your mental health. And as I'm sure you guys all know, having friends that you can rely on to talk to is one of the main things that helps get you through those times. And I think, we have been there for each other, haven't we?
Yeah,
we're not, because we've got that trust, we're not scared to go, I'm feeling pretty crappy today, Cavan, and I need to talk to you, and we just jump on the Skype and have a conversation, help each other talk it through. It's okay for you to having a crappy day, and be that voice of that, give each other permission to accept that about yourself, and recognizing, because we do work in the same sort of job, we also know the pressures that puts on us. So we know what it's, I know what it's like when you've got crashing deadlines around you, and there's 3 projects and the editors all needing it desperately tomorrow. And at those times it can be really stressful, and we can talk to each other about those as well and go, help me see the wood for the trees. What do I need to do first? And so, but we would have done that anyway. I think it's just the difference has been that, like everyone else, we've all had a hard time. So so we've probably leaned on each other a little bit more. Is that fair?
I mean, yeah, it is. It's wild, because the fact that we're talking about this as the 4 of us are meeting, it's the same kind of thing that you all been saying, as how I've been feeling the last 24 hours, is like thinking back to the past years without a group of like-minded good people to tell those, like, hey, I'm having a rough day. Whether it's, oh my God, this new book's coming out, I'm so excited, or like you guys, I got this new project, let me tell you about it. But those days of I'm having a rough time, or like I'm worried about this, is so equally important. And I think that's so wonderful that the 2 of you are able to have both of those at the same time, because I think that everyone who doesn't probably had a much more difficult time with some things this year. I think we're all pretty lucky, so that's pretty cool to hear.
No, I think those support groups are so important, and having I know I joked about it being soppy, but actually we're both from a generation. I mean, George is a little bit younger than me, just a tad, but where you are told as a British male, well, you don't talk about these things, do you? And you keep it all very much to yourself. And you're very prequel Jedi about it. And what I think we try and be is far more High Republic Jedi about it, and actually talk, because then things happen. So it gets back to the thing of that things are better when you do it together. So I think that's that. If from my part of the High Republic, that's definitely the message I've been trying to show through it. And I think it's something in our relationships, our friendships, and in both our writing, it's something that comes through time and time again. It's a theme, because we know how important it is and how real it is.
Yeah, I mean, I know we all, when we were reading like Rising Storm, when Elzar goes to Stellan and is like, hey, I need you as a friend, not as a council member, not as a Jedi master. I need my friend to help me because I'm scared of what I've done. Is you read that amount of friendship, and everything you said does bleed through so beautifully. And George, I can't wait to see what other kind of stories you bring as well, because you're both such empathetic, good men, aside from writers as well. So I'm very, very happy that this initiative we love so much is continuing in that direction. And I think 22 is going to be a hell of a year.
Yeah.
So, okay, great.
Therapy session.
Yeah,
very good. Very good.
Beautiful, guys.
Yeah. So I'll be sending the bill the invoice through.
Good. Yep. Happy to.
Oh,
well, I mean, as we round up here, it's, I mean, my God, always such a true joy to talk to both of you. And I'm so glad we got to have this large group of the 6 of us to have this time. And world bearing. I hope that, May celebration time comes up. Who knows? But it would be really joyous to get back some of that connection community that we're all hoping for. But
some point,
we'll keep our eyes open.
Not this year, maybe next year.
Exactly.
Yeah. So well, now though, business wise, as we always do when we had talked to you guys this year, big year, most stuff you can't talk about, but the stuff that you can. What should our listeners and viewers be excited for from Cavan Scott and George Mann in 2022?
George, you go, because you've got loads this year.
God, it's scary. So I mean, the next thing is the picture book. Battle for Starlight. That's 1st of February. But then I have the complete collection of Engine Ward, my comic series, coming out in February as well. There's original graphic novel from Dark Horse called Mother Bridge coming in May. There's a Newbury Hobbs, which is my steampunk kind of fantasy Victorian fantasy series, got a big new novel from Tor coming in July. There's the Carnival Road graphic novel in July. And it rolls off.
Oh my gosh!
I got quite productive over lockdown. It's now starting to roll out. So there's loads more as well, but that's kind of the highlights of the next few months. And obviously, Star Wars projects that I can't talk about yet.
Oh, marvelous. And of course, everyone that's watching, listening, keep an eye on George's Twitter, of course, for all updates. You beautifully let us know when everything's coming out with links. So keep an eye on that. All right, Cavan, the gauntlet's been thrown. How about you?
Well, there's not much I can talk about yet, but in the near future, we have the end of High Republic Phase 1 from Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're already.
We got that preview out. That preview of Avar having a frustrating day. Just dropped with her in Kyiv.
Yeah, you don't want to be in that corridor. After that, I have a new Pacific Rim graphic novel coming out later on this month, which ties in a lot of stuff it ties the original movies into the anime that was out last year. It's obviously the link between the two of them. So that's fun. Shadow Service returns in the spring for a new arc of demons and spies and shenanigans. Then, yes, there are things. I suppose the one thing I can talk about is Phase 2 High Republic Marvel comic in October. I can actually say that's a thing.
Yes, it's happening.
But I can't tell you anything more about it other than the fact it's 150 years in the past.
God! Well, I also appreciate you all scheduling Phase 2 to drop in my birthday month. I know that was a personal choice. It means a lot. It means a lot. Yeah. So I can't wait. But my goodness, what a joyous chat with both of you. Cavan, George, thank you for taking the time. Everyone that's listening and watching, I mean, what else is there? Look at these guys. Go read everything they do. I can't wait for you all to read all the projects. And again, guys, thank you so much for making our Thursday even better.
Thursday, yes.
Always love it. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, then. Thank you.
Oh, all right. There we have it.
We did it.
First, it was fun to watch again.
Good.
We talked to two famous authors, and they they don't know my name. They know Eric's name.
They know you're infamous now. You're notorious. You're
notorious.
Show.
Well, everyone in the comments, thanks for watching that along with us. That was so fun to kind of, watch that a bit. I don't always listen back to our shows or watch all our stuff, but it was fun just to see that happen. Mm-hmm. And if this worked for you, let us know. We obviously love doing it. And go pre-order everything George and Cavan make. It was so lovely to see them. So lovely to hear them talk about that hard stuff at the end too, right? Like being of that generation that is finally able to open up and be emotional. Sure. That really got me watching it back.
For sure.
Yeah, me too. I mean, Cavan was pretty open at the end of last year about just the challenges that he faced, and he worked his tail off, and COVID was hard on lots of folks. So it's refreshing to hear, that from authors just in general.
Yeah, a lot of people are going through the same kind of hardships that you may be going through, and they just don't voice it. But when they do voice it, then kind of feel that it's okay for you to say something as well. Reach out.
Absolutely, reach out to your friends, help them out. And if they happen to be Youtini award-winning writers, all the better. But so that was great.
Yes.
We hope to do those again soon, depending on what releases we have. As a reminder, 2 weeks from tonight, we do have our part 1 of our Fallen Star roundtable. So you have 2 more weeks to read that. Next week, we have a classic Living Force show coming your way. And then 2 weeks from now, Wes will finish the book by then. Wes will start the book by then. And then Charles will be back next week. And he will, of course, be here at the round table. We will see you then. But my friends, that will do it for this week's very special episode of The Living Force. If you support us on Patreon, thank you so much for all of that. If you don't, head over to patreon.com/Youtini. Help us get to our documentary release. A special thank you goes out to OK Endar, Jeremy Kazina, JG Kars, Earl Q, Patrick Ortiz, and Carl Sander on our Jedi High Council. And our patron of the week, Matt Billington, the Untitled Tour, Elizabeth Cloutier, Jason Mitchell, Freddie C, and Sally and Chris Eilerson on our Alliance High Command for their amazing support. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Eric Eilerson. Corey is at Doc Star Wars MD. Wes is at Boss Wes. And Charles, if he ever shows up again, is at C. Hankel. A special thank you to Matt Davenport, our amazing editor, Ryan, our graphic designer extraordinaire, and Wes, our producer and community manager. Thanks to all of you for hanging out in the chat. Thank you to Corey, Wes, Cavan, and George for being on the show tonight. And as always, may the Force be with you.